Yo, what's going on the run? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. In today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at another ignition build, or should I say, an upgraded ignition build. Since we put a similar build before, but this is like the next version of this build to make it even better. Since someone brought up a really good point on that build. They pointed me towards a weapon that completely changes this and gives us even more ignitions that I had just completely forgotten about. I don't know how I forgot about this weapon, but it happened. So that's pretty much what upgraded that build into this one. And now really we can have unlimited ignitions. It is crazy the amount of ignitions we can make. And this is gonna work at any type of content. From using regular strikes all the way to Grandmaster Rifles. So if that's what you guys want to do, you don't want to miss out on this build. So let's get into it, and first let's take a look at the must-haves of this build. For the armor, we're still sticking with the exotic from last time, the Ophidian Speed. Now this time you got the Skyburner Soul, and this is what gives this build just ridiculous amount of ignitions. So as long as we have those two exotics, this build is gonna work. And let's first get into the weapons that we're using with this build, since I'm sure you guys are wondering what we're doing with the Skyburners. So let's get into it. So first of all, starting off with the weapon. Now for the weapon, we have the Skyburner's Oath. And this is gonna be like the only weapon that you need for the build. For your other two weapon slots, you can pretty much go with anything that you want. But you definitely want the Skyburner's Oath. So the Skyburner is unstoppable, so you know it does benefit from the weapon mods this season. But the main reason that we're using this is just because how easily it can scorch targets. Basically, whenever you hit fire the weapon, anything that you hit will be scorched. It doesn't put like a huge amount of like scorch stacks on it, but as long as it's scorched, we can make an ignition with a throwing knife, and that ignition can lead to just a chain of ignitions if there's enough stuff around. So because of that, this thing is just perfect for a build. All we gotta do is shoot a target literally once, scorch it, throw a knife it, and then you're gonna see a bunch of ignitions happen. It is beautiful and makes ignitions be even easier than they were before. The Skyburner's Oath is quite an amazing weapon when it comes to like scorching with this build. Now for our abilities, we have a healing grenade, which is just good in PvE. It will keep you alive, will give you a bit of extra survivability. And for our melee, we have the weighted throwing knife. So the weighted throwing knife is what allows us to get those very easy ignitions, because whenever you hit something that's scorched with the weighted throwing knife, no matter how many stacks it's got, it could have like 2 scorch stacks and it will still ignite. No matter what you hit, as long as it's scorched, it will immediately ignite if you hit it with the weighted throwing knife. That's why the weighted throwing knife is so good. The main downside of it is just that it has that little wind up animation, you like just throw it straight away. But I think that's a fair price to pay for having some just crazy easy ignitions. And on top of everything, precision final blows will also immediately recharge your class ability. So if you kill something with a precision final blow with the actual knife, then they ignite and you also get your class ability just fully refunded. If, you know, the whole igniting wasn't enough already. So the weighted throwing knife is basically what makes the build work. You need the weighted throwing knife. For aspects, we're gonna be running On Your Mark and Gunpowder Gamble. Gunpowder Gamble is just good. It's classified as an ignition, so it takes advantage of all the other ignition things that we're running, meaning that it's gonna be doing damage in a bigger area, and it's also gonna be doing increased damage. So Gunpowder Gamble just kind of works perfectly with this build. And the second one gives us 3 fragment slots, so we can put on some more fragments, and also gives us some increased handling and reload speed, and that's just gonna feel pretty nice. Besides that, On Your Mark doesn't really have to do too much with the build. Now for our fragments, we can pretty much just have stuff that helps our ignitions, or helps us get our throwing knives back faster. The first one is going to be the Ember of Singeing. Our class ability recharges faster when we scorch targets. This is just so we can always have our class ability so we can get our knives back, since we are running Gambler's Dodge. You want to be on Gambler's Dodge, so whenever you get your class ability, you can get knives back, so you can always have some knives for those ignitions. Since we're going to have a pretty time scorching things with the Skyburners, we're basically always going to have our class ability up. After that, we're going to have the Ember of Char. Your solar ignitions will spread scorch to affect the targets, and this is pretty much what allows for those chaining ignitions to happen. After that, we have Ember of Ashes, which is going to improve the scorch tags that we apply to targets. And this is going to affect everything. Just anything that we scorch with is just going to be applying extra stacks. So this, combined with the other fragment we talked about, is what makes the big change with ignitions. After that, we have Embryo of Eruption, which is going to make our solar ignitions have an increased area of effect. This is going to be good for not only doing damage farther away with those ignitions, but also for applying those scorch stacks so we can keep those ignition chains going. And lastly, we have Embryo Blistering, defeating targets with solar ignitions grants us some grenade energy. And the grenade energy that you get is actually very noticeable. So it's basically just going to make it so we can spam our healing grenade more often, and so we can have a bit more survivability. Now for our exotic, we're going to bring the Ophidian Spade, and this is going to give us 2 knives per charge. So every time that we dodge next to an enemy, instead of getting 1 knife, we'll get 2. Meaning that we're going to have twice the amount of chances at actually causing an ignition. So don't be afraid about going for long range throwing knives. With the Ophidian Spade, you're basically guaranteed that you're always going to have some knives up. And our fragments also guarantee that we have a class ability to get those knives back. So either way, you're going to have a ton of knives. So every time you want to cause an ignition, you'll have some knives. Now let's move on to the mods that we're running on this build. First of all, for the helmet, we have Harmonic Siphon, Dynamo, Ashes to Assets. This is for the Gunpowder Gamble. Since we're going to be getting the Gunpowder Gamble back really quickly, we definitely want to take advantage of it and get a bit of extra super energy. For the gauntlets, we have 2 impact inductions and a harmonic loader. Now for your chest piece, you pretty much just do your resistances depending on like the activity you're doing. If you're doing the Grandmaster, make sure you check the threat, and so on and so on. Now moving on to the boots, we're gonna have Recuperation, Absolution, and Innervation, and all of these are gonna activate with Orso Power to give us back health, give us back some more abilities, and give us back a grenade. And lastly, for our cloak, we're gonna have Powerful Attraction, so you can get an orbs from a distance whenever we use our class ability. Bomber, so we can get some grenade energy when using our class ability. So it's just gonna be another consistent way of making some orbs. Now for our artifacts, the main one you definitely want to have is gonna be Solar Fulmination, which is gonna give your ignitions increased damage and also increased blast radius. Other good ones are also gonna be Shield Crush, Transference, Radiant Orbs, Counter Energy. Basically, the mods that are good on any build are also going to be good on this one. Just make sure that you always have Solar Fulmination, just to get the most out of those ignitions. And with that, that's actually going to be the end of the build. Now you know the whole build. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description in case you guys want to check it out and give it a try. This build is very fun, just seeing everything explode all over the place. And the couple of GMs that I used it on is actually very effective. The ignitions are really nice. Not only for killing a bunch of bats, but also for killing champions and bigger enemies, especially if 2 of them are right next to each other, they just keep igniting each other. It is very fun. I cannot believe that I actually forgot about the Skyburner Salt. I don't know how that happened, but you know, that just shows that even when I think that I got a good build going, you guys' comments are always helpful for improving the builds. Overall, I think that we have actually peaked with the ignitions. I don't think the ignitions are going to get easier than this. If you can think of a way to make even easier ignitions than this, then definitely tell me in the comments below, because I just cannot see it. I think if you want an ignition build, this is it. This is what you want to use. And the great thing about it is that it's also very effective in endgame content, which is just what I love to see. Most of the builds that I make are mostly for endgame content. I don't think I made too many just like for fun builds, since I know people kind of want to build that's like good in endgame content like GMs, so that's basically what I always put out. So I'm very happy every time that I see a good fun build actually be good in endgame as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it, give it a try, and if you do end up giving it a try, make sure you guys tell me what you guys thought about it. Anyways, thank you for watching, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll be at GCX when this video goes live, so if I can respond to your comments, that's why. So thank you for watching, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.